The Isaiah Factor Uncensored starts right now.
And welcome to The Factor Uncensored. Tonight, a Connecticut man's life is forever changed after an encounter with police. Earlier this month, Randy Cox was put into a police van while handcuffed. At one point, the driver hit the brakes hard, leading to Cox flying in the back of the van, hitting his head and leaving him paralyzed. Newly released video shows those moments where it's clear cops don't give a damn about him. Is it tough to watch? Only if you see this person as you should, like a member of your family in a horrible situation. Can you do that? Let's take a look.
Huh? You ain't cracking. You just drink too much. No, you drink too much. Okay. Sit up. You're not fine. How much did you have to drink?
Oh, shit. Oh my God, yo.
Keep in mind that video you see there, he has hit his head, hit his neck. He is now paralyzed. And the officers are saying you're simply drunk. And they threw him in the cell that you see right there. This happened in New Haven, Connecticut. Since this incident, 5 officers have been placed on leave, as they damn well should. And Cox's family is planning to sue, as they should. My guests have years of law enforcement experience under their belt. They told me they are disgusted at the officers' apparent lack of empathy and care.
Greg Dupree, when you looked at that video, from beginning to end, and how Randy Cox was treated after being arrested or taken into custody by police there, your thoughts on that?
I was honestly disgusted by the insensitivity that was shown on the part of all those officers to the medical needs of this victim. You know, from the beginning, when they placed him in the back of the vehicle, I think it was similar to the circumstances of Freddie Gray, when he was injured in police custody like this, or lost his life. I can't remember specifically. But what was noticeable, when they sat him in the vehicle, they had restraints right there on the seats, and no one took the time to restrain him in the vehicle. And then after he could, they stopped the vehicle to check on him, he told them he was in pain. The officer did the right thing by calling the ambulance, but for him to get back in the vehicle and continue to drive to the detention center was a definite no-no on my part. When you find that there's a potential injury to a suspect, you need to stop right there and get medical attention rendered right there on the scene, and that didn't happen.
And the transport driver appears to be of age, old-ass guy, and he should have known about what has happened in the past when people are not restrained in these transport vans. I mean, what the hell do you need in order to get it right?
Well, common sense. But the thing is, some individuals within law enforcement get to that point where they're so arrogant and inconsiderate, they perform their jobs with a high level of insensitivity toward anyone. And this is an extreme example, particularly when they got to the detention center. You listen to the conversation between the victim and the other officers and the sergeant. The sergeant was completely inconsiderate. She made a snap judgment that the guy was intoxicated and he was pretty much faking his injury. And they continued to move him, probably causing more damage to him, and place him in a cell.
And you know what? I'm going to say it because it seems to be a lack of compassion and sensitivity, even by other minority law enforcement officers. They didn't give a damn. They just saw a black guy.
Right. It doesn't, that's one of the mistakes a lot of people make. They automatically assume just because it's a black victim and a black officer that the black officer is going to respond in a way that's compassionate to that victim, in case they need something. That's not always the case. You got bad cops who come in every color.
Constable Smith, let's bring you in this from Waller County Precinct 3. Obviously, you saw this video. Your thoughts on how this man was treated? Neck broken, left paralyzed now.
Well, first of all, I want to say a lot of times officers be so complacent. When you become complacent, that's a huge problem in law enforcement that I see every day. If we don't take our job serious and from a professional standpoint, we're going to have an I don't care attitude on how we carry ourselves. And that's what happened with these guys. They had an I don't care attitude. They didn't even care anything about the person they was transporting. You know, you know, the difference between me and most cops, that I came in the game at age 47. Mm-hmm. And I have been arrested by the police doing activist work that I have been done in the past. And I remember when they arrested me, when they handcuffed me and threw me in the back of a seat of a car, didn't put me in restraint or anything like that. It was just a complacent attitude and a negative attitude by officers that didn't have no professionalism. We have to raise the standard so we can strengthen the conviction. And until we got people at the top, the constables, the chiefs, and those who run this agency begin to start taking business in a whole different perspective and pushing professionalism, because I'm watching a whole lot of officers that come through me, and most of my officers are reserved. But when they come with a complacent attitude. I say, hey, you can't come here with that kind of attitude. You got to pick it up, and you got to have some professionalism, even wearing the uniform. All of those things, because appearance means everything in this business. But if you don't have a professional attitude, you're going to be complacent, you're going to do things, and you're going to feel sorry after the fact.
And Greg, what we saw in this video, not one person said, let me check on this guy and see if he's actually all right, and not write it off as just being drunk, this drunk black guy.
Well, and that's true. And that happens in a lot of instances when you're surrounded by your fellow officers. And because of peer pressure, you don't want to be the one that stands up in a bad situation and do the right thing, because you're feeling that I'm going to be ostracized if I do this, and I'm going against this mindset of these officers right here on the scene who choose to do nothing to do the wrong thing. So I just go along with it. It's more or less a sin of omission.
And when do you have, or how do you keep officers, Constable Smith, from treating a certain segment of the population as if they're subhuman? Is that even possible?
Yeah, it is possible. You got to observe the people that you're working with. And if you observe the officers, you're gonna know what kind of officers you have. And so therefore, when you see them doing things that they shouldn't be doing, you got to hold them accountable. As they say in the street, you got to check them. If you don't check them, they're going to continually do those things. Exactly. Once you check them and bring them in and have a verbal counseling with that individual, you can make officers better, or you can make them worse. It's just that simple. We have to hold them accountable by putting demands on them. When you don't put demands up on officers, they're going to do what they want to do, and they're going to fail.
Now, Isaiah, I want to piggyback on what he just said, because that's an excellent point. He said he came in the game at 47. I came in the game when I was 19, 20 years old. And even when I was with HPD and Aurora, Colorado, both departments, I learned to establish boundaries. If there were individuals on that department who had a reputation of not doing the right thing or abusing people or anything like that, if you establish the boundaries up front that you're not going to tolerate that type of behavior, they won't do those type of things around you. And see, you have cops, you got good cops out there, and they do those type of things to let these individuals know you're not going to get away with this around me, because they are out there to serve people and uphold the law. But you have some that, hey, that it's a collective mindset. When they get together, they either actively participate or they stand by and watch and do nothing.
Well, we want to thank you, gentlemen, for joining us here on The Factor Uncensored. Hopefully this family will see justice in the form of a civil lawsuit, and they take the appropriate action in the department against these officers who were just lazy, complacent, and just didn't give a damn. It's mind-blowing, and it's sad to see that it continues to go on over and over and over again. Thank you all for joining us here on The Factor Uncensored tonight.